featuring Will Gavin and Master Tess Fassian.
And a squad of big-name contributors.
The S-Word
from talkSPORT.
Hello and welcome to the S-Word, powered by talkSPORT, sponsored by Calci. I'm Will Gavin, live in London, and the great Master Tess Fassian is alongside me in Atlanta, Georgia, where last night he was at maybe the best game of this World Cup, maybe one of the greatest World Cup games of all time. A stunning comeback from Argentina where, you'll like this one, Master, in the fourth quarter, they came back from 2 goals down to beat Egypt 3-2. Put your fours up, baby. The Argentines certainly were yesterday. So we're going to break down that game. A wonderful game of football, but was it marred by controversy? We'll get into that on the show. We've got some great guests lined up today. Flex will be joining us in the studio. We'll talk about the future face of the US men's national team. Michael Lahoud is going to be here just because we love him. Felipe Cardenas, who we also love, but also we want to mourn with, as his Colombia are knocked out on penalties by Switzerland to set up a quarter-final tie with Argentina. And we might take just a little. It's a day off football. It's a rest day. What do you mean a day off football? So we might just take
supposed to do, Will?
A little too early look towards all 4 of those quarterfinals and tell you what we love about these matchups. That's all coming up here on the S-Word, sponsored by Calci. Oh, Master. What a day you had yesterday.
You see why I got on this red eye? This
is it. You get on the red eye, right? You land into Atlanta. You get straight to the hotel. You do the show on whatever little sleep you've managed to get on the flight. And as you finish, you're showing us pictures. The fan park is already filling up with Argentina fans. And you're saying to us, oh, I'm not sure about this midday kickoff. This is a lot. You end up getting an absolute classic. What a privilege. What a moment.
What a moment. I think I witnessed one of the best games I've ever seen and probably one of the best World Cup games of all time. I'm truly stunned by the fact that I was there with a good friend that we both know, Robert, at Coca-Cola, and great friends, Rachel and Amy as well. Going to that match and just seeing the flock and sea of Argentina fans and seeing the Egyptians as well. And you could feel this was going to be a match with a roller coaster of emotions due to the simple fact that either this was going to be Mohamed Salah's final World Cup match or Lionel Messi's final World Cup match. And everyone went in with the anticipation that Argentina would find a way to win. But through 80 minutes, we felt like we were watching the end of Lionel Messi's World Cup career. And the highs and lows, the thrill of victory and the agony of defeat, as we say all the time in America, all of that was on display as the Egyptians jumped out to a 2-0 lead and dominated this match. And it felt like the Egyptians were going to pull off the greatest upset in their country's history, one of the greatest upsets we've ever seen in World Cup history. Then in those final 10 minutes, well, Argentina magic happened. And that place erupted. I saw grown men crying tears of joy. I saw everyone taking their shirts off and they were singing muchachos. The place just came alive as Lionel Messi delivered a goal and an assist, and eventually Enzo Fernandez's game-winning goal that happened literally right in front of me. This entire second half was literally, I was staring right at the goal as I'm watching Argentina score goal after goal after goal, coming back down 2-0 to win this game 3-2 in regulation, and the place erupted. And I think the emotions was truly capped off by the fact when that final whistle was blown, as all the Egyptians just collapsed to their feet, and Lionel Messi was literally left to tears, trying to recap what exactly just happened and how on earth is Lionel Messi and Argentina still in this World Cup advancing to the quarterfinals. I don't think they can comprehend it. I don't think Argentina fans can comprehend it. I don't think Egyptians can comprehend it. And truth be told, well, I can't comprehend it because this match had everything from the thrilling comeback to, of course, the anger and the frustration by some controversies that happened. And again, I think all of that is a combination of what makes this one of the greatest World Cup games of all time.
And listen, you talked about the emotion. The emotions were running incredibly high at the end of that game. And before we get into it, I need to hear this again because I listened to the commentary last night. Joe Shannon, chef's kiss. This is how you heard it live on talkSPORT.
Argentina break. Lautaro Martinez is upfield, away on the right-hand side. He's got 2 racing forward to join it. One of them is Martinez, and Enzo Fernandez! Oh yes! Argentina have done it in stoppage time. Argentina just will not lie down. They will not let go of this World Cup. Have you ever seen anything quite like this at a World Cup? Argentina 3, Egypt 2.
Mesmerising. You know, this World Cup just gets better and better and better.
Nothing can bring the emotion, the passion, the intensity that football does in these moments.
The wonderful Joe Shen, and you also heard from Mark McGee there, former Scotland assistant, who was our co-commentator for the game last night, calling that winning goal, calling that final moment. They also did the talkSPORT Daily podcast earlier today, and I was astonished that Joe Shannon wasn't doing that podcast, basically sounding like Harry Kane doing a post-match interview, because fair play to him, his voice has stood up, he's on his way north. We'd have got him on the show today, but he's on his way north to go call France-Morocco in the quarterfinals. Another great game laid out in front of him. Joe Shannon only calls play-by-play on absolute bangers. Yeah, if we're going to talk GOATs today, he's our GOAT right here on talkSPORT. You beautifully described the game. You beautifully, Master, described the situation, the emotion. We saw it in the stands. I've seen it from you on social. Like, unbelievable scenes. And from an Argentina team who... Some people will point to the quality of opposition that they've had to face in this tournament so far. Some people will point to, a supposedly easy run to the final last time out. They have had to fight and scrap their way past two very good African nations who have given them proper games in these last two games. And yet, the talking point when the Egyptian manager comes up to the microphone at the end of the game and says that if FIFA want Argentina here, why have the rest of Argentina in the final, why have the rest of us even bothered turning up? When the referee is accused of rigging the game by Zico afterwards, the controversies undoubtedly, I don't want to say overshadowed this game, because I don't think you can overshadow the brilliance of this game, but they are a huge talking point this morning, Master.
I think it has overshadowed the game. I think it immediately as it happened and everything was unfolding, it's a series of events, I think, at this point where people feel that there is a official bias that exists towards Argentina. We've talked about it on the show in the past, particularly after the Austria match, when certain fouls were not called and, Lionel Messi's been able to get away with certain situations that other people have been able to get red cards for. There have been fouls in the buildup towards goal-scoring opportunities for Argentina that have not been called back. In fact, Argentina has only had 3 yellow cards throughout this entire tournament. And when you talk about how physical and tenacious that they play, it is mind-boggling that to this point that they have only had 3 yellow cards in this tournament. And so you go to this match and you see the situation that unfolded when Egypt went up, of course, 2-0, and the goal was called back by a VAR decision of a very soft foul. Let's keep it honest. A very, very soft foul that we've seen time again in this tournament not get called. That should not get called, Will. That should not get called.
I'm all right, Master. I'm sorry.
Where is the foul in this?
He treads on his boot and he pulls his shirt. The tread is accidental. There's no denying that. But that is a free kick. And listen, this isn't. I'm not pointing this at you. I'm pointing this at the wider
Which one are we
conversation.
Talking about? The Egypt one? Are we talking about the Egypt second goal?
The Egypt second goal. He treads on his foot. He pulls the shirt. Soft, maybe, but a foul, yes. And listen, there is a wider conversation here, and I think let's talk about the controversies that exist within the context first. There is a further conversation to be had about should VAR be refereeing a decision that was 17 seconds before the goal that was that at the other end of the pitch. I think there is a valid conversation to be had there, I do. Let's have that in a moment. But first and foremost, I got really, looking at social media last night, I have a bit of a plea to fans to stop refereeing these games with your emotions. Football is about emotion. We all wanted Egypt to win that game last night when they were 2-0 up. We were all jaws dropped to the floor when that was happening. We were all running around and screaming, whether mentally in our head or literally in my case, at this idea that Argentina could be dumped out of the World Cup by Egypt. But we could see one of the great all-time upsets. But I'm sorry, VAR got all three of the big decisions in this game right according to the rules of the game.
No, they didn't.
They absolutely did.
No, they did not.
The rules state that if the foul happens at the beginning of the phase of play, it's literally where the possession changes hands and Argentine doesn't touch the ball between then and the ball going in the back of the net. It is a foul, and I'm sorry, it is a foul. I don't even think it's soft.
If that's a foul, then the third goal should have been called off as well. That's all I want is consistency. There was 2 build-up fouls in that too. There was 2 fouls that existed. The penalty with Mohamed Salah and the drop. If you're going to call if you're going to call the shirt tuck pull that you said was clearly a foul to call off the second goal from Egypt that you felt was rightfully called by VAR, there was a tuck pull that happened in the box for the same exact contact, the same exact situation.
It wasn't the same contact. Allow me to ask you a question.
It was the same contact.
Allow me to ask you a question.
We want the consistency, Will. We want the consistency, Will.
The consistency is, have you seen, and this is a FIFA problem in itself, because why we're only seeing this angle on a Fox watch-along with Peter Crouch and Kasper Schmeichel and Alex Scott, and we're not seeing this angle on the broadcast, have you seen the reverse angle of the Mohamed Salah penalty from the sideline, from their star player cam? Right?
Yes.
The first foul, right? The player treads on the boot and pulls the shirt. On the second occasion, the ball is won. Mohamed Salah, the back leg is there, but is moving back towards the ball. It is not moving towards. Contact is not initiated. Mohamed Salah initiates the contact by moving towards the leg and then falls down. He doesn't, and more than that, he doesn't protest it in the moment. Not a single Egypt player protests it in a moment. It's only when it is scored.
Contact to the boot.
All contact isn't a free kick. All contact isn't a foul. He's won the ball.
Every single small slight grab of the shirt should not be called a foul.
He's won the ball, and then there's the player's foot. Here's Mohamed Salah. He goes into the foot and goes down. The foot doesn't move towards him in any way. There is absolutely no initiating of the contact. By the rules of the game, that is not a free kick. That is never a penalty. One is a foul, one is not.
With no contact to the ball. He's not playing the ball at all. He's making contact with the player's foot.
In what way is he
not? He did not win the ball. The ball's behind him. He did not win the ball.
Literally.
He did not win the ball. He did not win the ball.
God, this is amazing. This is amazing. I've just said stop refereeing games with your emotion. Take those Messi blinkers off. Take the Argentina blinkers off.
You take your Messi blinkers off. You want to be this like beacon of hope and dignity and fair play for the game, but for whatever reason, you can't do this with Messi. You're the one that has the Messi blinders on. You cannot do this with Messi. You are part of the problem. You have the bias towards Argentina. When I talked about this with Austria too,
pause the show.
I've watched it. I watched it in real time. I watched it afterwards. You did not watch it in real time.
Julian Alvarez's right boot wins the ball from Mohamed Salah as he tries to go past him. That's why the ball is behind Mohamed Salah, and then he runs into the other leg. He does not have any sort of situation already.
He has not won the ball. That is a ridiculous claim.
God.
And you're talking about my own bias. When I brought this situation up after the Austria match, you had your Messi bias where you felt like none of those situations should have ever been called back. You didn't think it was a red card. You didn't think that situation towards the build-up towards the goal,
card, and that's what I
towards the build-up towards the build-up towards the goal. You didn't think that game
until I heard Christina Unkel talk about it.
You didn't think that goal where the foul was clearly played towards the build-up towards Argentina's goal that led to that penalty in Austria. You felt like that should have not that was not a circumstantial situation to call the game back. All of a sudden, you want to talk about my Messi bias. Well, it is very clear what's going on here. You are similar to the referees and the officials going on right now. You're the one with the Messi bias, Will. You want to be the beacon of hope. You want to be this person that thinks you want to be this person that wants to speak out when the USA has situations going on and all these other countries are going on. But for whatever reason, you cannot call out when Argentina is getting the favoritism that everyone. Literally, Alan Shearer, who has been the most. One of the biggest Messi shills we've ever existed in punditry. He even said the simple fact that if you're going to call on one side, call on the other. That is all we're asking from Argentina matches. Call it with consistency. If you're going to call the smallest of tugs on one side and call that not a
tug that the foul is for.
Let me finish, Will. Let me finish. You just spoke for 2 minutes.
Talking about it being on the shirt tug. It's not on that. It's on the step of the foot, and that is a foul. It's accidental, but it's a foul.
There is 2 fouls in that circumstance situation that, at the bare minimum, should have gotten a VAR check and should have gone to VAR and let the official check to see if something was going on.
The other one's actually not in that situation. People keep citing it. The other one is
Argentina.
the
Argentina.
The one where he
every
spins him around in the box is a separate penalty incident, and people keep talking about it as if it was in the same moment.
Argentina every single time, they get the calls. Whether it's a VAR call, whether it's a penalty, whether it's the inability, the fouls that existed on Mohamed Salah that didn't get a yellow card, the fouls that existed on the goalkeeper that didn't get a yellow card, to go this entire match with how physical that match was. And Argentina not to get a single yellow card, Will. I'm sorry.
I'm not disagreeing
as much as you want to talk about the dignity of the game, and you want to talk about the officials and all the complaints, and all the problems that you have with the officials throughout this entire tournament, and that you've had with Mr. PGMOL, that you've had throughout the Premier League and Champions League. For whatever reason, you have your Messi blinders on. You love Messi. That is your GOAT. And it is hard for you to acknowledge the fact that Argentina gets a lot of bias towards the officiating. And you're just like all the other Messi
I'm not
fans
arguing
that
with any of that. I've talked about two incidents, which are the two key incidents in the game. One is clearly a foul, one is not a foul. And do you know what? Literally every single former official, every single pundit who has watched the Mohamed Salah back, everyone who is genuinely neutral to this situation has watched that Salah penalty and gone, that's never a penalty, because it's not a penalty. Salah doesn't claim it in the moment. Egypt don't claim it in the moment. There weren't two fouls in the build-up either. The other one, which, look, the decision was, and this is another thing totally separate to this, VAR didn't look at it, is a phrase I keep hearing. VAR look at literally everything that happens. They decided there is a threshold met for whether or not it needs a full review, and then they do a full review into it. Just because you haven't seen VAR review in the corner doesn't mean they haven't watched it.
There's a different threshold that exists for
Argentina. Neither of those came close to meeting the threshold. And if they did come close to meeting the threshold,
that is the problem we're talking about here. The threshold for Argentina is far lower than the threshold for their opponents. And that is the issue at play here. There is a clear bias that exists when Argentina plays. There is a clear bias.
You can talk about I'm not disagreeing with you. You can talk about the yellow cards. And I do think there's a conversation to be had about VAR. Should it intervene in something that happened 17 seconds before a goal? By the rules of the game, they got it right. I don't necessarily like it. I actually think in that situation, I'd rather that goal stands. There's also the fact that goal happens to put them 2-0 up on 58 minutes. They then go 2-0 up on 67 minutes, and everyone is acting like if they got that second goal, they're going to win the game. I understand.
Here's the difference. I will say, as someone that was at the match, let me tell you this. As someone that was at the match, when that second goal went in, before it was called off, that place was silent. The hope, all the hope, the ambitions, the possibilities, all the chants, they came to a standstill.
But they would have had 32
shocked.
minutes plus added on time.
Let me finish, Will. You can talk for 2 or 3 minutes. Let me finish. When that VAR decision was popped up, the hope and the belief around Argentina fans, they clearly knew and felt that this thing was going to get overturned. And when in fact it did, as you see Lionel Messi telling the ref to go take a look at it, and it finally does get overturned, that place erupted, and it was about as loud as it's been since the start of the match. There was a reinvigorated hope and optimism amongst the Argentine fans in that building that literally stunned me, because it became deafening in the building. And yes, they ended up scoring the second goal towards that and afterwards, but that hope and optimism never died out as a result of them getting that call turned around. I'm telling you right now, I was at that match, and that was a huge moment.
That's wonderful insight from me from being there. It's a foul. It's rightly ruled out.
It's not a foul, Will. It's not a foul.
Right.
It's not a foul. If that's a foul, let's re-referee the whole game then. If that's a foul, let's re-referee the whole game. Let's go through every single touchy foul that happened there through Argentina's matches. We can go one by one if you want to. We can go through the Mohamed Salah card that never happened, and in fact, Egypt got the card. We can go through the foul that happened with the goalkeeper that was knocked down and pushed down, and there was no foul called in that situation. If we want to go through every single ticky-tack foul in that game, and you want to call that thing back.
He stands on
that
his...
That is an absolute ticky-tack foul.
He stands
for someone that loves physicality and contact, and you want the officials to stay off of that,
he stands on his boot.
That is a ticky-tack foul.
Atia stands on his boot. That is the thing that causes him to go down. It loses possession. It has a direct impact on their ability to break away and score. It literally is the change of possession. It is a free kick. It is a foul. It's a foul anywhere on the pitch. It's a penalty if it's in the penalty box. It is a free kick. It's not intentional.
I'm shocked.
And from the original view we saw on TV, they called it, but he stands on his foot. And listen, there is a wider... It's funny that you're going to cite Donald Trump there, because there is a wider conversation around this, right, that I think is interesting to have, and we'll break it.
I didn't even get to finish my thought about Donald Trump.
Okay, let's do that after the break. We're going to break because we've got more time here. We've got guests aren't on for a little while. I think it's an interesting conversation. Let's take it down a moment, have a breath, enjoy some adverts if that's what you're going to do, and we'll come back to this and we'll talk about Donald Trump, and we'll talk about FIFA, and we'll talk about Gianni Infantino, because I can feel how I feel about those decisions, and I can read everything that's told me that VAR got it right and every refereeing expert that said it, but there is a wider problem. Regardless of how you feel about that game, there is a wider problem, so we will talk about that next on the
Argentina problem.
Sponsored by Calci.
The S Word with Will Gavin and Master Tesfacion
from talkSPORT.
To the full-time whistle. Don't say the S word. Say the F word. Football.
The S word
from talkSPORT.
You're back with the S Word, sponsored by talkSPORT. Master, it's fair to say that the chat are loving our back and forth this morning. They are getting involved. They have opinions on either side, and they're enjoying that we're going at it. You've got to remember,
Keep
guys,
it coming.
Master and
Keep
I,
it coming.
it's a lot of love here. This is purely two football fans having a debate in the same way we would if we were in the pub. We love each other. Don't you worry about it. Sometimes. We are, by the way, one subscriber away from hitting 10K. So if you're up there in the chat and you haven't hit the subscribe button and maybe the little bell and everything else, just go and do it now, because wonderful Lucy on the other side of the glass wants to see that little firework thing go off and see that we've doubled our followers in like the last 2 weeks, which would be lovely. Thank you, everyone. This is the S Word, sponsored by Calci. Will Gavin, Master Tesfacion out in Atlanta. Coming up shortly, actually, we're hoping to have... It's interesting because you brought up the Donald Trump conversation. The reason I wanted to hold on that a little bit is we're looking back on last night's game between Argentina and Egypt, the 3-2 win, which sees Argentina advance to the quarterfinals, and the controversy around what was a brilliant game of football. Because on White and Jordan a little later today, and they're going to be giving us a clip of it coming up shortly. They have done an exclusive interview with Andrew Giuliani last night that's going out on the show today, in which point, in the interview in which Andrew Giuliani claims that the process was wrong and the ref was dodgy and had past match fixing issues, in which he suggested that anyone has an issue with the situation of Trump getting involved, it ultimately has a form of Trump derangement syndrome. And I think we can get potentially his thoughts momentarily. Just let me know when we're ready to go to it. No, okay, fine. I thought we got the 10,000 subscriber, right? Fine. I thought you were saying we had the clip. I heard we got it in my ear, and I was like, I thought you meant the clip. Look, they also had a bit of fun with him about whether Keir Starmer should pick up the phone about Jarrell Kwanzaa and a few other bits. But this exclusive interview,
everyone's picking up the phone. And again,
in this exclusive interview, just say they basically double down on Donald Trump's involvement in that situation. And so that was a point you were going to raise around this whole conversation. Master, please, you have the floor.
Oh yeah, I think it's very easy to call out Donald Trump because we're Americans. We make it so direct and blatant and obvious in terms of the decision making and the things that we do. There's no hiding the fact. If anything, it's more of a question of whether Donald Trump's taking more credit than he deserves for taking an action because something got overturned. So look, the nobility for calling that out, like there's very little to none. Like it's right in front of you. Like being able to discuss that and calling that out for what it is, like the nobility for that, it is very obvious. Like there's no hiding it in plain sight. That's like calling out the Paraguayan senator for being racist when she clearly says she's being racist. Yeah. Like there is and I'm saying that because, well, you have been on the show, and I've thoroughly enjoyed the simple fact of who you are as a person and how you like to go about things and trying to find things and talk about them the right way and going about things the right way. Okay, but when the simple fact when we're going through this World Cup, okay, and particularly as we look at the teams in the quarterfinals. Argentina gets a card every 22 fouls, okay? Where your England team gets a card every 7 fouls. And you're looking at a situation yourself that eventually you have to deal with where Jude Bellingham and Declan Rice are 1 yellow card away from potentially being suspended for a semifinal match. And I would love to see your thoughts and comments if there is a ticky-tack foul that happens that gets carded for a yellow card.
I mean, let's talk about Declan Rice's yellow card to start that game the other day was absolute nonsense, but there we go. And
if they're not available for this Argentina match, I am very curious because, again, we all have our biases. And there's nothing wrong with that. I'm not from the school of objectivity. I was at one point, but I realize we're human. We all have our flaws, and as long as we make our biases known, I think it's better for the viewer, for the audience, for people to know that, so you can judge it as you see it. You clearly love Messi.
Allow me to lay that bare then. Allow me to discuss that very point. Because I feel like what I haven't actually addressed is the idea of the Messi bias here. I don't disagree with you that I think there is actually just a general big team bias and that also Argentina clearly have been at times softly reffed in this tournament. You referenced the Messi should have got a red card earlier in the tournament. I will say when I watched that instant live, and we can go back and get it up in the chat group if we want to, I said at the time I thought that should be a red card. It was only after Christina came on the show the day before and broke down exactly for us why that's actually only a yellow card offence that I was like, right, I see reason now, because at the time I was angry about it. I was frustrated. I do love Lionel Messi. I do think he's the greatest of all time. He does bring me a huge amount of joy. I'm not going to deny any of that. But when I look at last night, I wanted Egypt to win. At 2-0, I wanted Egypt to win. And it wasn't England get an easier route to the final thing either, because actually I like the idea of playing Argentina in the semi-final. I don't like the idea of losing to them, but imagine if England do get to a final and actually beat Messi to get there. That is going to make it a legendary run. The storyline side of me gets excited by that. I truly, truly believe that in that game last night, that one was a foul and one wasn't. I don't think we need to pour over it again. I truly believe that is the case.
I rewatched the video during the break. He did not... He won the ball after he made contact with the boot, and afterwards he wins the ball thereafter.
Okay.
Again, listen, I'm just saying, if you're going to call one of those a foul, and if you're going to call one of those a foul,
wins the ball and goes away, and then
all we're asking
Salah
for
hits his
consistency.
trailing leg.
Salah does not hit his strength. This is not a Harry Kane situation. This is not a simulation situation. There is clear contact to the boot. It's not Harry Kane tripping and stumbling over himself, being clumsily as he was. This is not the same situation and precedent that happened with the Harry Kane situation.
I agree with you. I don't think it was simulation. It wasn't simulation because Mo Salah didn't call for it. He didn't throw his arms up. He didn't look for it.
There was clear contact.
There was contact. I've never denied there was contact. But
I'm saying if
I also believe he won the ball with his right foot first, and then he ran through and hit his trailing leg.
On the second Egyptian goal, if there was incidental contact on the second goal that was called off by Egypt, all we're asking for is consistency. That's it. If you're going to call that,
I said we weren't going to pour back over this, and we're pouring over it again.
But I'm just saying, consistency is all we want. Because the threshold clearly for a foul from Argentina, based off the data I just gave you, for a yellow card, just to get a yellow card with, the threshold for Argentina is so much higher. It is the same conversation. Because if that's what it takes to call a foul, to call a yellow card on Argentina, what is the threshold for a VAR? What is the threshold for a penalty decision? What is the threshold for a red card? That is much higher than other teams in this tournament. And that has been the case, not just in this World Cup, but we could take it back to 2022. There's no team that has had more penalties in the World Cup over the last two World Cups than Argentina. These fouls and these calls for them, the threshold for their opponents is
can I ask you a question?
Way lower.
Master, we're going around in circles a bit here. Let me ask you a question. Why?
Why is that?
Why is the threshold, you believe, higher for Argentina than it is for anyone else?
I think that's a great question because the level of physicality in which they play with should not suggest.
But what's FIFA's motivation? What's Gianni Infantino's motivation for telling his referees that you should referee that?
I don't know if it's particularly in terms of what that looks like. I need a tinfoil hat.
Because this is it. It's the tinfoil hat of it that kind of gets to me.
The data's there. The statistics are there. The video is there, though. That's what I'm saying. You can see the favoritism, and this is not exclusive to just this sport. I mean, this exists in other domestic leagues. That exists in the NBA. This exists in the NFL. There is favoritism that exists towards superstars and superstar teams, but where they're able to get away with things in that threshold that other teams and other players are not able to get away with. If that's what it is, that's fine. I just want people to acknowledge the fact that there is a favoritism that exists with Messi. But Messi fans have such a difficult time just acknowledging that reality.
What I don't understand, though, is if people are doing it for Lionel Messi, if people are doing it for Lionel Messi, why aren't they doing it for Kylian Mbappe? Arguably, he's the future of the sport. He could be the greatest World Cup player of all time. If they get to this final and win it, and he's done the 3 finals by the age of 27, probably becomes the top goal scorer. He's the future of it. Why not?
Does Kylian Mbappe bring you joy? Does Kylian Mbappe bring you the same joy Messi does?
Kylian Mbappe brings me joy. He does play for France.
Does he bring the same joy as Messi? Does he bring you the same joy as Messi? Does he bring you the same joy as Messi?
That's very different.
Messi, you have not waxed poetically about Kylian Mbappe on the show as in the same way you have any single time Lionel Messi has scored a hat trick against Algeria or done something against Austria.
We're not talking about my bias against Messi. We are talking about the supposed FIFA and refereeing bias against Messi. So look, Kylian Mbappe, 27 years old, he's the future.
There's an emotional attachment.
Let's say you've said emotional attachment on both sides. Let me say what I want to say about this. Lionel Messi, yes, there is an emotional attachment. Master, right. I don't want to get into semantics with it. I let you talk then consistently for a period of time. I then came in to make my Kylian Mbappe point and make my England point, and I wasn't allowed to make it.
Let's not kill time. Make your point.
My Kylian Mbappe point is that for me, I don't understand. You say emotional connection, and I understand what you're saying there, but I don't think Gianni Infantino has an emotional connection with anything. I think he has an emotional connection with the number of zeros in his bank account. I think he has an emotional connection with being at the top of the sport and looking.
Did you not see his comments after Cape Verde?
Listen,
did you not see his comments after Cape Verde when he was interviewed about the situation and the emotional attachment that he felt and the emotional investment he felt in Argentina potentially losing that match? And you want to sit here and tell me that he probably does not have any emotional attachment to this? When he has displayed emotional energy towards Argentina, there's literally videos of him responding to goals scored by Cabo Verde, and he was literally couldn't have been more disengaged by the reality. I still do not understand. Emotional connection is a fair and valid conversation about this, but I just don't understand why FIFA would favour Messi but not favour, let's say, England. Why wouldn't you favour England when actually it's the biggest TV market, it's the biggest money bringer, the amount of money that they spend in other leagues
leagues. It's been distributed through football. So in theory, actually, England going and winning the World Cup and more money going into that league and more money, that's more beneficial to FIFA than Argentina winning a second in a row. So why wouldn't there be a favouritism there? Why wouldn't there be a favouritism towards Kylian Mbappe, who should be, before this World Cup, let alone after this World Cup, your next Messi, the guy who is held up as your messiah, the guy you hold up as being the beacon of world football, who will be a superstar worldwide? Because what Messi does deliver is Messi does deliver that superstar worldwide thing. Him and Cristiano Ronaldo, and we see the crazy scenes in Bangladesh and everywhere else of those reactions. And it's kind of
they don't do that. They don't do that in Bangladesh for Kylian Mbappe in the same way they do for Lionel Messi. Listen, I'm in the crowd and I'm seeing people. Half the crowd is not even Argentine, bro. Like that is a difference in terms of the pool Lionel Messi has, the draw, the attraction. He's the box prize. Like he is the summer box office thriller. That's what Lionel Messi presents. That's what he brings. He is a cash cow for FIFA and for this tournament. The longer Lionel Messi is in this tournament, the better it is for everyone. The global viewership, the ratings, the money that is poured in. Like, having Lionel Messi go as long as he can for what we all assume will be his last World Cup, and the simple fact that he could potentially go out and become a back-to-back World Cup winner, like, come on, bro. Like, and again, I'm not saying that they're deliberately doing that, but I'm saying there is a favoritism. You're saying it's
an unconscious bias. That's what you're kind of saying.
Absolutely.
And this is my problem.
That's what I've been saying this whole time.
An unconscious bias is understandable. And again, I will keep repeating this. I am not denying that. I am just talking about the two fouls in that game, one of which is a foul, one of which is not. And every referee and every person. I'm going to send you a video, by the way, that I saw during the break.
You keep saying that. I'm going to keep rebuttaling. I'm going to keep
rebuttaling. I will send it to you.
Keep bringing that up. I'm going to rebuttal.
And
if that's not a foul, the other one shouldn't be a foul. But go ahead.
The other kind of question here, and this is why when you brought up Trump, I thought this was kind of the direction we were going to go in, because I think there is. It's really interesting. It was something that you said during that about the idea of the nobility of raising this question. Because one of the things I have found incredibly frustrating, and this is based on the fact that we are a show aimed at the United States. And look, you and I have talked about it, and you have talked about you being unhappy with the situation. So this isn't aimed at you as the American who's currently on screen with me. I want to be very clear on that before we get into it.
Feel free.
The justification of what happened in the Balogun situation of right decision, wrong process has really reared its ugly head for me last night when you look at what the reaction to the Messi situation is, when you look at what the reaction to that game last night is. For me, Gianni Infantino being willing to put his finger on the scales for Nicolas Otamendi, Cristiano Ronaldo and Caicedo before the tournament in letting them have their red card suspensions added so that they were allowed to play from game one because supposedly you wanted a level playing field. But let's be honest, like Master was just talking about, you wanted to make sure the big stars were playing so that you got that TV revenue so people were watching. That's why you did that. You put your finger on the scale. You let it weigh slightly in that direction so that you got the outcome that you wanted. And then you did it with Fowler and Balogun, and that might not be anything to do with the US. And it might have actually backfired on them and motivated Belgium. We've seen footage come out overnight of them listening to the YMCA and doing the Trump dance in the dressing room again after the game. It clearly was a motivation for Belgium. But you put your finger on the scale again, didn't you, Gianni? You yet again went, for my buddy Trump, to make the hosts happy, to make him happy, to keep my position of power, I'm going to put my finger on it. And what that does is it opens those barn doors out. It makes everything you do questionable. And that's why it brings the game into disrepute. And that's why I want people questioning it. And that's why I don't like this whole right decision, wrong process thing. The process is so important to making sure that you can't literally question. If Argentina go on and win this World Cup, in the same way that if America had advanced the other day, we are going to have to hear on Monday the 20th of July that Egypt foul again. We're going to have this conversation again. We're going to have to hear about the biases again. And if Gianni Infantino wasn't as corrupt as he was, and if FIFA wasn't as corrupt as they were, then maybe we could talk about the brilliant game of football we watched and not this idea that there is a bias against certain players because it's better for FIFA for them to get through. We'd maybe have that conversation anyway, but we have that conversation because on two separate occasions in the last 6 months, you have done exactly what Donald Trump did by talking about in that press conference and laid it out bare for everyone and been like, yeah, we've done that. That's absolutely it. You've denied it in press releases, but you've done it, and you've done it flagrantly, and it just brings the whole game into disrepute because of it.
Okay, I mean, you're talking again. It's very easy to say that about America, but I've yet to see anyone mention the fact that ultimately it's Argentina has benefited from the same rule. Portugal's benefited from the same rule.
Great point.
We're not the only one that has benefited from Article 27. That's a simple fact. And that's the reality of the situation. And again, when we're talking about the Argentina bias, This existed before the Balogun situation. So if anything, this presents more evidence to the fact that Argentina does get away with this. And let's be honest, ultimately, he's not even a star for this team. And he was able to get Article 27 for his situation. Like, he's not on the same level as Moises Caicedo or Cristiano Ronaldo. And again, whatever you think about Florian Balogun, but in terms of the role he was playing for this team, like that is, the threshold. You have to be a superstar for Article 27 to hit, where Otamendi is able to benefit from the same reality. And, Will, here's the thing, again, and I appreciate all this, and I appreciate the fact that you want to watch the sport and you don't want any of this corruption. And I'm here to sit you down and tell you this. In our lifetimes have we not watched this sport and not had to deal with the corruption, the reality that comes with this sport across different domestic leagues, across every single international governing body board, whether that's UEFA, whether that's FIFA, hell, whether that's CONCACAF here in North America. That's a simple fact of the reality. You can't have one without the other. Unfortunately, this game is not played in a vacuum. It's a simple fact. It is not played in a vacuum. This is the way it's been for even well before we were born. And unfortunately, the reality is it's going to be that way as long as we're alive, and it will probably be that way after we die. That comes with this sport. That comes with this sport. And you have the right to question the fact when these sort of situations come up, because there has been precedent in this sport. There has been precedent in this competition that these kind of things unfortunately do happen, that there is biases that do exist, that do play huge outcomes in the decisions towards who wins this trophy and who doesn't, who advances in this tournament and who doesn't. And when the margins are so small, as we've seen in this tournament, and we can all agree that this has been one of the best World Cup tournaments that we've ever seen, with matches that we saw yesterday and matches that we saw in Mexico and England, and matches that we saw in Cabo Verde and Argentina, there has been some unbelievable moments that we've seen in this tournament that has blown us all away and blown all of our expectations away in terms of what we expected from this tournament, what we expected from these host nations, and what we expected from the performance of play, considering all of the buildup, all the controversies, all of the unfortunate situations with the government interfering, and also all of the games and matches that have been played through these players, and wondering what they still had in the tank this summer. This has been one of the best tournaments in the world. But when the margins are so small, the differences between Cabo Verde advancing against Argentina or not, the differences between England advancing at the Stadium Azteca or not, the margins that we continue to see, Colombia and Switzerland, we have not talked about yet. The margins of these matches have been so small and so narrow that unfortunately these type of decisions do hang in the balance and do turn as key moments, unfortunately, that do determine whether a team advances or not. So people do have the right to feel away. They do have the right to ignore it if they want to and be boisterous and pretend like it doesn't happen, as Americans were doing and as Argentina fans and as Messi fans do. And there are other people that have the right to feel angry and feel like they were robbed, just like Egypt has, just like Austria has, and just like other teams have. That is part of the sport. That has never changed, Will. And I get that you want it to be in this vacuum and you want it to be away with this, but that has always existed. This has always existed.
But I'm not talking about American fans turning a blind eye, half of whom maybe voted for the man we're talking about, half of whom support him.
The thing is, America didn't turn a blind eye. When did I turn a blind eye on this situation? I speak personally. When I turned a blind eye, I said, hey, it happened, whatever. We benefited from it, cool. Balogun's playing, and I had fun with it. And I look, there was nothing to run away from the situation. And it happened. What am I supposed to do? Feel sorry about the situation?
No, I think when I see journalists who have previously supported the United States in 2015 going after FIFA corruption, who have previously spoken out about Russian and Qatar World Cups, when I see journalists who have done that and then in this situation don't want to get involved in the idea of politics and sport mixing, I completely agree with everything you said. It is part of the game. And guess what? Football is undefeated. Talked about it yesterday. The 22 men on the field is what ends up deciding it. And that's the joy of it. And it's the reason why every year FIFA tries to ruin this thing for us. Every 4 years, sorry. FIFA tries to ruin this thing for us. And every 4 years, somehow, some way, football ends up still being the winner. And praise and glory and wonderful. That's absolutely what I want it to be. But I find it heartbreaking when people will call out corruption because it's not directly involving them and then don't do it at a later date. That's all my feeling is. I feel like a barn door has opened, and it's open to the point where a manager can now openly say in post games things that they'd never be able to openly say before about the idea that no one else should have bothered turning up because FIFA are putting one team through to the final. And that is, I think we are in an astonishing refreshing new situation, and maybe it's not for the positive of football.
It's America.
Anyway,
First Amendment.
We've got
Freedom of
so
speech.
much still to get to.
Use it.
Yeah, but okay, I'm not getting into a freedom of speech argument with you right now because that is the most misinterpreted law in the history of man. Let's be frank about it. Free speech doesn't mean hate speech. Free speech doesn't mean hate speech. I will just repeat that over and over again. We've got some great guests coming up in the second hour of the show. Master, I've accidentally unplugged my headphones, so if you're talking right now, I apologise. I actually can't hear you. So we've got some great guests.
He's using to cut me off.
Right, back in. We've got some great guests coming up in the second hour. I genuinely did that by accident. Michael Lahoud's going to be here. Felipe Cardenas is going to be here. Flex is going to join us in the studio. And guess what? It has been a pretty intense first 40 minutes. People are loving it in the comments. Maybe we'll get some of your comments as well. But thank you so much for interacting and subscribing and doing all that good stuff.
10K, baby! 10K!
But we need some positivity in our life. We need to remember why football is wonderful, why football is great. And so up next, let's do some Fan Appreciation Society here on the S Word, sponsored by Calci.
Bringing all the biggest football debates.
Stateside.
The S Word.
From talkSPORT. talkSPORT presents
The S Word.
Get your full-on football fix from across the football galaxy.
The S Word.
From talkSPORT.
You're back with the S Word, sponsored by Calci. I'm Will Gavin, Master Tez Fatien, live from Atlanta, where last night he had the privilege and joy of being in the stadium last night to watch FIFA rig the World Cup. I mean, for Argentina to have one of the greatest comebacks of all time behind the genius of Leo Messi. There's one thing from this game we haven't talked about, actually, and I said to Sam, I really wanted to get this off my chest today. And so I'm just give me 60 seconds to say this, because... Master, did you watch the Premier League this season? Did you like this past season gone?
I think I did, yes.
I feel like you watched a lot of the games, right? I feel like I watched a lot of the games this season. We went to a lot of the games.
A disgusting enough games.
It's really funny because there were a few players on the pitch last night who they kept referring to like they play in the Premier League, and yet I didn't see that Alexis McAllister once in a Liverpool shirt this season. I didn't see that Christian Romero in a Tottenham shirt at any point this season. Enzo Fernandez last night was absolutely sensational in a way that he hasn't been for Chelsea basically since he signed for them. And I just, like, as much as we want to talk about Argentine bias or anything else, there is apparently something about putting that shirt on that turns seemingly bang average footballers into absolute superstars. I was just like, my mind was literally blown at what I saw last night versus what I've seen those players do in the Premier League. It's bizarre. Hopefully it's World Cup raising votes.
Not only just playing for Argentina, but you can clearly tell they're playing for Messi. Like it is the beautiful part of watching Argentina in person is that, again, whatever people think about Messi, those first 70 minutes, the ball, he was getting dispossessed. He was missing penalties, taking chances that were soaring over the bar. And they make a couple tactical changes. All of a sudden, he's operating on the right side where he has a little bit more freedom and a little bit more movement. And within 10 minutes, completely changes the game. And the amount of work that these other players do to make sure that Messi has the room to operate in the way that he feels best, to give Argentina the best chance to win, I think is the most unselfish sacrifice that you can see from a national team. And it truly is beautiful to watch because like we talk about all the time about other players needing to step up and do more, but seeing a team stepping up and doing more to allow their superstar to thrive in the space that he needs to, that is what has made Argentina thrive and have these deep runs that we've seen over the last couple World Cups.
I'm going to kick an absolute hornet's nest now. Do you think that's because I think that Cristiano Ronaldo's own selfishness is a huge part of the problem, but also when you see the way those players do play for Messi, you go, do those Cristiano Ronaldo stands who have been all up in our mentions and calling me every horrible name under the sun maybe have a point? I don't know.
Listen, listen. If anything to argue, the simple fact that other people have to do more work to overcome and compensate for what, I don't want to say little work Messi does, but how more efficiently he operates, can't you argue that's a bit more selfish?
Efficiency is a wonderfully polite way of putting it. But
isn't that kind of selfish, to be honest with you? Like the absence of work rate?
I have really enjoyed the way that they have built in, like, it's like people have been learning that football doesn't have to be played at full pace. Like the American thing about like our top athletes and putting Miles Garrett in a USA shirt or whatever. Like it's such a madness.
It's also happening in European football. But the amount of data and statistics we have, and the work rate, and the how fast they run, all the analytical stuff that you love. All that is based off of work rate. Let's be honest.
But what I love is the fact that like the Erling Haaland opening goal, the header, where people are like watching that video back and seeing the way he strolls into the box and they're like, oh, this is weird, he's going at walking pace. And I'm like, he's going at walking pace. That means he's not being tracked. It's because he's so smart. It's how you drift into space. It's like people get annoyed at Harry Kane for not chasing. I'm like, we're one of the best pressing teams in the world when we're doing it, but sometimes actually drifting into those spaces, pulling a man out of position, like that's smart movement. That's intelligent football. Anyway, let's do. Yeah, hold on. Max Scott's just got up in the mention saying, "Congrats, guys, you're doing an amazing job." I assume he's not watching the show because he was very much on your corner that Egypt were robbed last night.
Listen, did I get the signature patent? Max Scott, it's an absolute disgrace.
Oh, it's an absolute disgrace.
Did I get that from the Egypt-Argentina?
He's posted a wonderful, about 60-second long video that I disagree with everything he says in, but yet love him dearly during it.
It popped up. I saw the comments.
It is popped. He's had like 50,000 likes on it. It's sensational. I'm going to get to it in a minute.
Oh, yeah, we're going to get to fan appreciation.
We're having fun.
We're doing Max Scott appreciation, okay?
As much as I disagreed with all of it, I think he used absolute disgrace maybe 3 times, definitely twice in the video. I was like, this is some beautiful Max Scott content. And I'll tell you, if people, there are a few people who are getting annoyed about us talking over each other and interrupting each other. I think it's kind of the nature of arguing.
100%.
If you want an idea of how much people are enjoying this, Flex is already here and he's chomping at the bit, and he wanted to come in during this segment. I'm like, well, let's do fan appreciation. Let's cool the tone down, and then you can come in and have your say.
Maybe read some comments before we bring Flex in and have to hear about his Mexican stories and mucho gracias and all that.
Where in the running order is the fan appreciation? I can't find it.
Are we going to Mexico?
Mexico's on the list. Let's start off with some Argentina fans, because as much as,
okay,
we can be contentious about what happened on the field last night, they had a party in Atlanta last night. I think that's pretty fair to say. Oh, come on. What's going on? I think that things are broken on us. After all of that.
All of that. Oh, look at that. Sam,
I'm not sure this segment's making the podcast, guys. Everything broke. And literally, after they were telling me off for like 4 minutes to go to it, it all broke when I threw to it.
Rubbish.
Oh, that's really great. That's really great.
Can we read some comments on this? I'm curious what comments are saying.
I'm going to read comments in a moment. I'm going to fill for time. I'll bring it up and I'm going to tell you a story about something that happened on Sunday night, Monday morning, because we haven't talked about this on the show. England with that wonderful victory in Mexico on... I need to see Master's face for this if Mark Gav's going to allow us to see him. I went and watched that at producer Sam's house. Having watched the Brazil game in the Brazilian cafe with Ollie Hunter, the wonderful man that is, I went to producer Sam's and we watched the game there. And during like about half an hour into the game, like this warning message popped up on his TV a couple of times saying like that the hard drive was too full or something. And he's like, oh, it's been doing this. It'll be fine. We'll get it to half time and then we just have to reset it and it'll be no problem. Do you want to take a guess at what minute of that game the TV decided to crap out?
Oh, no. The two Jude Bellingham goals? Jude Bellingham goals?
No. We saw the first Jude Bellingham goal. We got the first Jude Bellingham goal. We got the celebrations, and then it started to glitch again. And so we were like, do you know what? Just scored. Perfect moment. Reset it now. They're not going to score again within 90 seconds, are they? Literally, as the TV reboots, from his balcony, I hear the cries of Southeast London as clearly something else exciting has happened, and the TV turns back on to seeing them wheeling away in celebration. It was one of the most heartbreaking and difficult, because the joy of going 2-0 up at Azteca when I haven't conceded a goal in the whole tournament.
I'm so sorry.
But missing it.
Is that your Sam appreciation?
That's our Sam Appreciation Society. Mika's up in the comments, of course he is, says, these tournaments are wild. Put those fours up. We know you love it. I did send Master a fours last night for the fourth quarter.
Fourth quarters.
Come on. Argentina turned up in that fourth quarter last night. Patio Joe agrees with you. 3 yellow cards in this whole tournament is nuts. He also said, good morning, boys. He said, Egypt were robbed of that goal. Still an amazing game. How do you feel about a full Argentine refereeing team officiating the France-Morocco game tomorrow?
We haven't even talked about that. I'm glad he brought it up in the comments. The first time in this tournament that we're seeing an all-Argentine officiating crew for France-Morocco. And again, you may not think it's a big deal, but we also saw an Argentine crew in 2022 for Portugal-Morocco that officiated that crew. And after the match, Bruno Fernandes made a huge deal of the fact of why did we get an Argentine crew for this World Cup when we know the parameters and we know the biases that exist between Argentina and Portugal, CR7 and Messi. Again, I don't know what this is going to transpire to, but I wish it had some aluminum foil.
Well, yeah, when it came up on social media last night, when it was trending, it was funny to me that they got absolutely ratioed because the first comment just said, you know, the referee in this Argentina game's French, right? And it was just like, yeah, like these things, you know, I don't like the whole crew being from the same country.
Argentina crew, but the whole crew, though, it's completely different.
Here's the thing.
Completely different.
That whole attention is now going to be on that. They cannot do anything dodgy, right? Like, they cannot have a decision go wrong. They have to officiate the game of their life because that is going to be so called into question. It's like the thing about,
this is like having Scott Foster
when's the safest time
an NBA Finals match.
It's like when's the safest time to fly is just after there's been a plane accident. Like, you know, they can't do anything wrong now because if they do, the whole World Cup goes down the toilet.
Listen, when Scott Foster comes in to a match and officiates a crucial playoff game in the NBA playoffs, he has built up a social media nickname called the Extender because for whatever reason he gets called into a situation of a very crucial game and the Extender comes in and for whatever reason the series is prolonged.
A little Fergie time.
As a result of it.
A little Fergie time. I once bought something called the Extender off an incognito website, but we're not allowed to talk about that on air. Few people agreeing with me on the Salah foul. Pranjit says, I too think the Salah foul was not literally a foul. The ball was already taken by the nutmeg from Alvarez. No foul, no goal. Nutmeg. Simple as that, says Pink Panther. He with his front foot puts the ball through Salah's legs and then Salah's leg hits his back foot. That's what happens. Ayush Media says, Brother Will, stop explaining it to this guy. Just let him yap. There you go. It's what
you read all the
for.
positive ones? Do I have to
No, I read a couple of positive ones for you as well. Micah is telling me off for mispronouncing his name again, of course. The thing is, I've only gone into one of the chats. The other one, there is a lot on there, so we'll have to get into it a little bit more, and I'm going to have to read it more. But Flex wants to come in the studio, so let's just let him do that. This show has been the two of us chatting for an hour, and I've absolutely loved it. We have some wonderful guests on this show. The next hour is full of guests, but this has been a good time. I'm glad we've got to do this.
This is the first hour for us.
It's the off day, right? There's no football. We'll do fan appreciation at some point if it's working. But in the meantime, Flex comes in the studio next here on the S Word, sponsored by Calci.
The daily deep dive into the world of football.
The S Word
from talkSPORT.
The S Word.
Featuring Will Gavin and Master Tess Fassian.
And a squad of big name contributors.
The S Word
from talkSPORT.
Hello, you're back with the S Word, sponsored by Calci, powered by talkSPORT. I'm Will Gavin, live in London. The great Master Tess Fatsian is live from Atlanta, baby. We've got a little bit of breaking news coming in from talkSPORT, but to talk about that very bit of breaking news, I'm going to bring in the wonderful Flex. Flex, how are you, brother?
I'm good.
Flex.
He is live and direct here in studio, rather than being live and direct in
Flexico.
Flexico,
Yeah.
Exactly. There we go.
Senior Flex.
Yes.
Yeah. So before I want to hear about Flexico, I want to hear about your adventures and everything else.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you've got some thoughts on what we talked about in the first hour of the show as well.
Yeah.
But first, talkSPORT understands that Marcus Rashford is increasingly likely to start the season as a Manchester United player. Rashford dreams of making his loan to Barcelona permanent was shattered, of course, by the Anthony Gordon move from Newcastle to the Camp Nou. United have said they would still like to sell to get his wages of more than £325,000 a week off the payroll, and Rashford ideally wants to leave Old Trafford, but a lack of willing suitors has meant him being integrated back into Michael Carrick's first-team squad is now more firmly on the table than ever. I know it's something that we've kind of talked about a lot during this off-season, but as it becomes an increasing likelihood, as we get closer to this season, as we get closer to the end of the World Cup, how are you feeling about the idea that sounds like Rashford's here to stay?
Yeah, I've been gearing up for this for a little while, actually, from quite early, because as soon as that move wasn't made permanent to Barcelona, I was like, I know what's going to happen here. I could just feel it, and it's got so many facets to it, right? And it just shows how football can be such a crazy game. I'm in the camp of I think both parties should go their separate ways. I think it's run its course. Marcus Rashford clearly needed a change. Manchester United clearly needed a change. And I loved seeing Rashford thrive over in Barcelona. I wasn't one of these Man United fans that couldn't wait to see the back of him and he's a this, he's a that, and who does he think it? I was like, look, it's gone sour. He's one of our own. He's come through the academy. We've seen the good and the bad of Marcus Rashford. We need a clean break. But sometimes football has other ideas, and I can't believe we live in a world where Barcelona have ended up saying we want Anthony Gordon and made him permanent, and we don't want Marcus Rashford, and it looks like maybe nobody else does. I was like, surely Bayern Munich are going to come in for him. Surely somebody's going to come in for Marcus Rashford. But then when you look across the Premier League, that doesn't look feasible. David Ornstein was saying that Marcus Rashford would rather see out his Manchester United contract than play for another Premier League team. I know he played for Villa very shortly, but it's different going there for the next couple of years. And now I'm looking at it and I'm like, well, if there's somebody who would like to see Marcus Rashford come through the door, it's Michael Carrick. If I look at Michael Carrick, he's played with Marcus Rashford in the same team. He's coached Marcus Rashford when Ollie was here. And I think that somebody like him would look at this situation and say, well, we're trying to spend 50, 60 million pounds maybe on another left winger. We have one in the club. We don't just have one. We have one that I know. And I think, as in Michael Carrick this is, I believe that I can get you going again. It's a new slate. There's no bomb squad here. There's no negative feeling here. There's no negative vibe here. And we got money to spend in other areas for a year. Marcus, welcome back. And that's one side of it. I'm just not sure how it's going to go down. I'm not sure. It depends on Marcus Rashford as well, right? How motivated is he to resurrect his Manchester United career when his preference is to be elsewhere? Now, if this happens, he's a professional. He's paid a lot of money. This is his club, and he has to play, right? But I don't know. I do feel it's a different dressing room to the one he left. 100% different feeling at the club. But I still think it's better that we probably go separate ways.
I like this. I like this for Manchester United. I really do. And it's simple facts you put up. As long as Michael Carrick is there, I think Marcus Rashford has a safe space to operate and exist in Manchester United that perhaps he didn't have the last couple years, considering all the criticism that he's received and how he kind of felt isolated in the corner. Again, no fault of his. He is to blame for some of this as well. I'm not absolving him for this, but also in terms of it all just piling on to a simple fact that he needed to leave. But with Michael Carrick, it gives him the safe space. It gives him someone that can believe in him, that can get the best out of him. And we've seen once you create that space for Marcus Rashford, he can deliver for you. And you add Marcus Rashford to the attacking threats that you guys already have at this point, then this gives you the opportunity, the luxury to go all in on addressing that midfield and addressing that back line and addressing the other needs that you need for this team to operate and thrive in Champions League. I think this can work. I think it can. As long as Michael Carrick is there, this can work. You do this from now until January. You can reassess it in the January transfer window.
Maybe
see
that.
how it goes from there. And maybe go put him out on loan if for whatever reason it's not working out, or some of the sentiment between the fans and Marcus Rashford still exists, or some of the sentiment with people inside the club and Rashford still exists. But I think this is, from what we've seen from Marcus Rashford at Barcelona, and even what we've seen from him in this World Cup, and you know, again, however you want to view his performances, we have seen him create some chances and be dynamic off that left wing at times. I think there is a renewed belief for giving him a new chance and a new opportunity to wear that shirt again. And I would love to see it. I think it would be a tremendous story, and I think it'd be one of the best stories of Premier League.
I think I agree with Master to a huge extent of that. I think the weird catch-22 of this situation, right, is that it's all about that 325 grand plus a week wages.
100%.
That's what all this conversation
is. Which is why he's not moving. That's why nobody wants to move in on this.
Still 2 years left on that deal. And I find this very difficult to talk about because he's 28 years old. That's probably his last big contract. Like, even if he ends up moving, whether that's at the end of 2 years, whether that's sooner rather than later, the next time he signs a deal, it's probably not going to be that sort of
he won't get that,
right?
No.
So I have always been a very firm believer that whilst the money in football, you might want to bulk it and talk about it being disgusting, is I'm like, if the money in football deserves to filter down to anyone, it's the person who's on the field making the plays, who's the guy who's scoring the goals. That's who deserves to be paid. So I'm always a little bit weird about saying, like, talk about pay cuts and talk about people like losing their jobs and things like that. But if he thinks at 28, I still got a significant amount of my career left, I can go somewhere else. Is there a conversation about, does he need to accept that, maybe Arsenal would come in and sign him and they would pay 30 million for him or whatever the fee was to Barcelona, but only if he drops to 200 grand a week.
I think he would. I definitely, not saying you're saying this, by the way, I don't buy into any subscription that, like, Rashford is like a mercenary and just, you read a lot of things about him wanting to make that Barcelona move happen the first time round, even dropping different demands, etc., etc. And I do believe, this is my opinion, I believe that Marcus Rashford is now in a period where he understands that he needs to make certain things happen, maybe off the pitch, so that he can play. So I don't think he will price himself out of it. Barcelona is a very curious basket case when it comes to transfers, when it comes to registering players, economic levers, etc., installments. So I think it's a very difficult financial landscape at Barcelona. What you guys are saying about him coming back to United, I take it, but what does Marcus Rashford want? Like, how motivated is he to reignite his Manchester United career if the right suitors don't come in? Because according to David Ornstein, he doesn't want to play for another Premier League team. So
if
in Europe, where's he going to go?
If there is the idea that, like, Michael Carrick can have that connection, he's with the England team. The vibes are clearly very high with that team right now, and he'll make a connection with the guy.
Players would welcome him back.
Like, that all that stuff you feel like might feed into this, and I do believe right now the best option in front of them is for Marcus Rashford to play for Man United this year, at least until January, and then go from there.
They don't want another loan, though. They don't. Otherwise, they'd entertain loans now. Like, I don't think if he stays, he'd probably have to stay for the whole rest of the season, unless something bad really happened, because they're just entertain loans now. And Man United don't want to entertain loans. That is just not on the table. It's permanent, or no one comes in. If you want to get
his wages off, why not loan? Like, this seems mad to me.
I agree.
But,
it's either that or you got to cut the cafeteria food again. So, you got to make your choices at Manchester United.
Hey, Flex, did you have anything to say about this topic we discussed in the first hour of the show?
Yeah. I want to say a lot, but I don't know if we've got a lot of time. But basically, it's really simple. One was a foul. One's just not a foul. Like with the Egypt situation, what I will say is I didn't follow the game play by play. I was travelling back and kind of caught up with the highlights, and now I've seen all of these clips about how Egypt have been done over, and here's one foul, and I'm looking at it and I'm going, is this what everyone's going crazy about? That one is a foul. The one in the box of Mo Salah is just not a foul. 1 billion trillion times that it happens, it's just not a foul. So I just don't understand that. What I do think is happening, though, I'll be honest, is I think there's various stains that have been on this World Cup that are off the pitch, and different things that have happened, and I think those stains are being brought into this particular incident. And I'm going to liken it to what happened with Arsenal and that West Ham decision, because I stuck up for Arsenal when that happened, because everybody was talking about all these other things that had happened that was like, well, is it the same as this situation, though? Have you seen a penalty be given for this? And you go, well, no, but we want consistency. What? No. Have you seen a penalty being given for this? And I just think that when we conflate too many different situations in one, it becomes too murky. So the situation about the World Cup, about tickets have been too high. Donald Trump's been on the phone and got a decision reversed. A visa situation. There's loads of things that have happened. Oh, this is why the World Cup's rigged. This is why this. This is why that. No, let's just talk about, for this instance, let's talk about these two instances. One was a foul, one wasn't a foul. And I think that we're going too far off into the tangent of everything is rigged. But there are some legitimate conversations to be had about, I take your point, Master, about lack of consistency with other decisions. But I don't think we can say, because what people are saying is, if that play was Messi instead of Salah, it 100% would have been a penalty to Argentina. And I'm like, well, now we're starting to talk about things that just that just hasn't happened. Let's talk about what's happened.
The hypothetical thing is really difficult, right?
Exactly.
Going to this with Gabs before the show, it's like I think
during the game.
I think Master Master made a really good point about this earlier when he talked about the air being sucked out of the stadium when that second goal went in, and then the renewed vigour that they got when the VAR came, because that is actually something that I think could have played a part.
And then they scored after that, right? Because I didn't watch the game.
But this is it.
Like,
they
scored. It was a difference in
having not been in
the
don't throw it away.
Flex, you weren't watching the game.
Having not been in the stadium, I didn't feel the same thing Master felt, so I'm not denying that is the case. But if I'm looking at it from a purely 60,000 foot view, I'm going, so you're telling me they've got 32 minutes plus added on time to score 3 goals instead of 23 minutes plus added on time. We're giving them 9 more minutes to come back. That doesn't feel like an advantage to me. We don't know how Egypt would have reacted. We don't know how Argentina would have reacted. We don't know. All we can say is that they went on and scored again after that, and Argentina still came back. And annoyingly, for the sake of the balance of the show, I agree with Flex. One was a foul.
It was such a robbery that basically Egypt can't, because I didn't watch it. I just want to get this. So it was 1-0. Then this thing happens where it should be 2-0, right? Then this gets chalked off. Egypt managed to calm down, do well, and score another goal. And then it's 2-0, right? That's the order of events, right? So it was such a robbery that Egypt managed to calm down, go and get another goal, and then be within, what were we saying? When did Argentina, 10 minutes of winning? Were they 2-0 up with 10 minutes to go? Is that about right?
It's all about the fourth quarter, baby.
Right, the fourth quarter. That fourth quarter, by the way, I tell you what, Master, I'm going off topic now, do you know what? Master, thank you. This quarter stuff, I need it at my national level because it makes my manager manage. Because Thomas Tuchel, in those quarters, he was going in. He was going in. We needed those quarters. So thank you for revolutionising the game. I want to thank you for that.
Real quick, Flex.
Can I offer
throw your fours up? Flex, one time for the camera. One time. Can I get a four, baby?
Is this fours for the quarter or is this fours for you guys in your last knockout stage? Which four?
Yeah. Throw your fours up.
Is this the fours for Belgium?
Yeah.
That's another thing.
I'll put a one next to your four so it can be.
I tell you something, Master. I'm coming for you. You might be lucky because there's not enough time on this. Because I'm fed up. No, Will, you can join in. Join in because this guy, we've had to listen to him on this show belittle England, talk about all the Europeans, how trash they are. Where's the Europeans? You're not ready for this. You're not ready for that. And he even said, because he's getting excited with this home court advantage, right, that you were going to go further than England. And now look, mate, we were watching that game. I thought it was the Belgian generational. I thought it was the old school Belgium. I thought that was prime Kevin De Bruyne. I thought Carrasco was out there. I thought I saw Eden Hazard.
He didn't start, unfortunately.
I thought Eden Hazard was there, mate. I thought it was prime Lukaku. They dunked on you 4-1, mate. What's going on? This was after a presidential phone call to reinstate Balogun. Man, he didn't even have a touch. Talk to me, Master. Talk to me.
Hey, I've got no rebuttal. All I can say is...
Where is that Norwegian music? Have we got it? I need it in my life.
That's all I got.
And now this guy's
Flex.
changing up. Look at him. Look at him now.
Changing up? Flex, just remember. Listen, I know you're enjoying this show. I know you're enjoying this World Cup. You've had a great time in Mexico. You had a great moment. But we've seen the show time and time again. Okay, if England was an episodical series, you had a great mid-season finale. Okay, but we all know how the show ends. We've seen it time and time again played out. And we know how this. You're going home.
You know what you're getting. You know what you're getting in the semi-finals. You know what you're getting in the semi-finals. I'll say it American for you. I'll say it American for you. You're going to get your dreams, Master. You're going to get your dreams because in the semi-final in Atlanta, England are going to bury Argentina. Messi's tears will shed. His career will be over. And the ultimate villains of this piece, having knocked out Mexico, having knocked out Erling Haaland and his absolute darling and his rowing and everything else, will go to the final. We'll beat the French. We'll beat the Spanish. We'll take whoever on that we need to take on. Finally, England will be back at the top of the mountain after 60 years.
Tell him,
That's
Will.
what I'm talking about.
He don't want to hear it.
You're overlooking Norway, and for all the talk that you guys just had
I'm not overlooking Norway.
Norway
have been better than Argentina. I'm more scared of Norway than I am Argentina.
About the fouls here, fouls this, fouls that. I can't wait to see the look on your face if, in fact, you guys do advance against Norway. And there was a cheapest foul for dissent that Jude Bellingham gets for arguing with the official. crucial, and he's not available against Argentina. And then we'll see.
It won't happen, mate. We just get on with it.
They're putting all of these barriers up.
England gets on with it. England gets on with it. England fans get on with it. Are you sure about that?
What we'll do?
No, you guys don't get on anything.
We got
you
a
guys
good
are the biggest
relationship with you
complainers
guys.
in the
We'll
world.
just ask you guys. Ask Trump. Can you just put in a call for us, mate? Jude's one of the main guys of this thing. Can we just
we're not looking out for
reinstate
y'all.
him?
You got Starmer over here making calls. You got Starmer making calls. Trying to change the time of the game. Don't worry, you got your own.
Remind me how many fouls per card you said it was for Argentina?
I believe it was 19.
19.7. How many cards per foul is it for Norway? 24. They're putting every barrier in front of us. They're putting us against all the teams that have the unconscious biases. They're saying we don't want England in this tournament. We're going to make them play in the Azteca, where it was England 3, altitude 2. Don't you worry about it. Don't you worry about it. We want it all. I want the smoke. I don't want, if Egypt got through, then we've got an easy.
Just get on with it, mate. We'll just get on with it. Hate is hate. It doesn't matter how you package it, Master. Hate is hate, okay? It's fine. You said you was going to get further than us.
I can't wait for you guys to lose. I can't.
No, Mark, let's go back. You said you was going to get further than us. We all told you you wouldn't. You thought you had home court advantage and this matters, and you got dunked on. You got dumped out of the competition by an aging Belgium, a Lukaku that's holding on, a KDB that's holding. Mate, they played you off the park. It was embarrassing. So that's all we're addressing here. That's all we're addressing. And now you're back to Poch out. A minute ago, at the beginning of the tournament, he's like, I like this guy.
I didn't say anything
he's this,
about
that. Yeah. And now we need to discuss who's going to be the face of the US national men's team. Who is it going to be now? What now? It's a great discussion. Where is the United States football going?
Right,
we do need to address one more thing before we do that very quickly, though. And you played the sound drop.
Y'all got me defending like Tim Ream and Matt Freese right now, and I'm sorry. I have no rebuttal. You're right.
You're there.
I apologize. I apologize to England fans for thinking America would go further. That the United States would go. Let me start that over.
Okay.
I apologize to England fans for thinking the United States would go further than England in this World Cup. I'm sorry for having this delusional perspective, thinking that Christian Pulisic, for whatever reason, would guide us to victory and guide us to the quarterfinals. I apologize and believing in Matt Freese and Tim Ream and thinking that Donald Trump making the call was going to have us beating Belgium. I apologize for all that. But just know this. Just know this. Your time is coming, England fans. Your time is coming. And when it does, as it always does, I will be here. I will be here. Time.
Well, we're still in it, mate. So you can stop watching it now. You just let the teams that are still in it go and be in it.
And I hope you guys hang a banner. I hope you guys hanging a banner for beating England in the Stadium Azteca. Do they have a trophy for that? Because you guys have yet to win a single trophy in your lifetime. So hopefully you guys can win it. Maybe the golden sombrero. How about we give
not everyone can win in the Azteca, mate.
Exactly. And you didn't get the trophy for the longer participate because you made this a thing. We're going to go further than England. Well, that's not a trophy, is it? But you wanted it, but you didn't get it.
There is something I do need to very quickly address.
Yeah.
Because we made an initial little, side bet on the show.
Yeah.
And then we updated the terms of those side bet. Master did never come back to me and tell me what he wanted me to do if I lost, but I didn't lose. And so my question is to you, in that wonderful hotel you have there in Atlanta, Georgia, is there a breakfast buffet? I'm thinking maybe some Heinz baked beans, maybe a little bit of Texas toast, because you owe the nation, you owe the international audience. You better be eating some beans on toast on camera, baby. It's got to happen.
You think they serve beans on toast in this beautiful city of Atlanta, Georgia? You must be out your damn mind.
Trust me, I've got beans on toast everywhere around the world because they see the English coming and they go, that's a good way to get them
I'm going to have some good old grits. Once the show's over, I'm having a nice bowl of grits.
The English are in town.
Some nice Cajun grits.
I'm so happy this has happened to Master. I'm so happy. I'm so happy.
Don't worry.
Do you know what's really only did this happen to you? The way we with such grit and beat the Mexicans as well in that stadium, and Master probably didn't think that would happen, and you just getting thrown out of the competition and embarrassing. I'm so glad.
I was so distraught.
I know you was.
This round of 16 has been disastrous. Every African nation has fumbled and crumbled in the fourth quarter.
Yes.
USA gets blown out, and somehow, some way, England finds a way to beat Mexico in Stadium Azteca, and Argentina advances. They're literally Colombia loses.
It couldn't have gone worse.
This round of 16 has been an absolute nightmare.
6 European nations in the quarterfinals, one African,
and I've got to watch.
CONMEBOL.
I got to watch freaking Switzerland in the quarterfinals. Switzerland.
Yeah, that's not a win for anyone. That's where we will agree. That's not a win for anyone.
Come on.
All right.
Home court advantage messed it up. What can you say?
We're going to save the USMNT conversation for tomorrow, right? Yeah, that's fine. We're going to do that one tomorrow. Probably.
I'm off, so you guys enjoy that one.
Flex, what are you doing Sunday?
What's going on Sunday? I can't even think of the top of my head.
England play at 10 p.m. on Saturday.
Or when
night.
England loses.
Oh yeah, this is the day after. I don't know. We'll talk about it.
Yeah, I think.
What's going on Sunday? Is there another show? Yeah,
a little 3-person show might be nice.
Okay, all right.
Master messaged me the other day. Sunday was meant to be his day off. Like we're trying to, like with his travel schedule and everything else, is make sure like he get a couple out of every 7 days off. And he messaged me when I said
he doesn't deserve any days off.
He went, sorry, I'm having Sunday off. The day after England play. I don't think so. Yeah, all right.
No. Bring that back. Bring that back. Hopefully these Norwegian biases.
Yeah, if Norway somehow
hopefully
get
we get
past
this Erling
us,
Haaland bias. Hopefully we get this Erling Haaland bias.
I think they're going to row their way all the way through our internet connection, and the Zoom just won't be able to connect. I'm afraid.
I might come on the air on a boat. Who knows? Starlink. Don't get me started. Start canoeing through the Los Angeles. I'll be in the Marina Del Rey on a canal on a boat.
See, we've got
rowing with the UCLA rowing team.
So scared. So scared.
What are you going to do?
Why would I be scared of
England? What are you going to do if they win?
No.
He's just going to take the Monday off.
We're not talking about hypothetical. Stop being delusional. Stop being delusional.
Right? Hold on. King of hypotheticals. What would have happened if Egypt had scored?
Stop being delusional.
We're going to get to the semis. There's nothing you can do about it.
Right, Flex, thank you for joining us in studio. Wonderful stuff from you. Hopefully, we'll see you on Sunday.
Segment.
Fingers crossed. That was the best 20 minutes of my of my 41 years on this earth. I don't know what you're talking about. Best 20 minutes I've spent.
You sided with a guy about Messi that didn't watch the game.
Listen, he had a fresh perspective on it without the emotion of the moment.
Exactly.
That's a positive thing. That's a good
Just
thing.
because you were there, you're getting angry.
No, it's the best. That's the best 20. That's the best 20 minutes I've spent since Dan Burn came off the bench and got every single header out of there. Start him on Sunday. Him against Erling Haaland, 8 games.
I need my Arsenal
just
boys
one
going
hole.
home. I need my Arsenal guys in Ibiza. I need my Arsenal guys in Ibiza. I need them on holiday. I need them taking time off.
I had to find out what Flex's line was. Flex's line was start Dan Burn.
I'm having neural pain like Declan Rice right now listening to this segment.
Right. Still to come on the show, the brilliant Michael Lahoud, the brilliant Felipe Cardenas. We'll talk to him about Colombia going out, and we're going to have a good time. So stay with us on the S-Word, sponsored by Calci.
Around here, we only use the F word.
talkSPORT presents
The S word.
talkSPORT presents
The S Word.
high energy exchanges, fiery fan reactions, and the biggest football debate.
The S Word.
From talkSPORT.
I really like the fade in then. Can we do that more?
I did too. That was nice.
Lovely. We should explain that technically the only reason it comes up on just me is like you can't technically come up on the frame with both of us in, because I sometimes think people are like, God, this guy, he always insists on it being open on him starting the same. I'm Will Gavin and it's all me. Exactly that. Exactly that. Just laughing at my own jokes. This is the S Word, sponsored by Calci. Will Gavin, Master Tesfatsi, and in a moment we're going to be joined by the great Michael Lahoud. So listen, Flex came in and he agreed with me. Now we're going to get the African football perspective.
Didn't watch the game.
You don't have to watch things live to be able to see whether they're a foul or not. And actually, sometimes if you're removed from the emotion, and you watch those two moments, then maybe you've got a more zen view of it. Maybe you've got a more clear-minded view of it. Maybe you're
an incomplete perspective. An incomplete perspective.
It's still to come as well. Felipe Cardenas will be here. Two of our favourites back to back, as we love to pit them off against each other. Really, sadly, Master, because you're coming in from remotely as well, we can't have both of them on at the same time, because there was a little plan to just introduce Felipe into the segment and have them battle it out between them for the S Word's favourite. But let's talk a little bit about heartbreak again for an African side last night. Egypt knocked out in stunning fashion by Argentina, leaving just Morocco as the last CAF side standing. Let's welcome in former Sierra Leone midfielder and African football commentator, the wonderful Michael Lahoud is here. Mike, how are you, brother?
Oh, I'm doing well, lads. I'm even saying lads now. This is how I know I've been on the S Word way too long. I'm becoming Anglophile. Jesus. What's going on?
Does that also mean you've got a really sensible and mature perspective on things instead of getting emotionally involved, and you don't believe that there was a FIFA conspiracy theory against you last night?
What?
As I said it, I knew that it was so wrong, but I just, I went with it. Sometimes these things just happen.
Rubbish.
Mike, what did you make of last night? Egypt's wonderful performance, but eventually crashing out.
Yeah, it was disappointing because you can have two schools of thought. There's the non-emotional, adopted British perspective that I'm going to try and put towards this, which is Egypt had a game plan, but unfortunately, it's what Master and I were talking about of when it counts most in the dying embers of the match. You could see some of the nerves, you could see some of the lack of game management, and yes, we're going to get to some of the controversies that have stirred up the internet. And I definitely want to talk about that. But there are two moments that I think of when I think of Egypt that they would have wanted back. You go back to the Cuti Romero goal, and it's the goal scorer, Ibrahim, who scored the opening goal for Egypt off the set piece, or off a cross, the right center back, where he switches off and passes off Cuti Romero and pretends he's not even there. You cannot take plays off in football, especially at the highest levels, especially the international level. And one thing I've learned playing at the international level, things you'll get away with at the club level, you will never get away with at the international level, because every team has this knack for smelling blood in the water. And when you're playing the reigning world champions, the reigning World Cup champions in Argentina, with the greatest player of all time, sorry, Ronaldo fans, Lionel Messi, you cannot take a play off. And then moments before that, there was opportunities for Egypt to keep the play going, and yet you had players like Trezeguet, I think it may be in the 76th minute, a player like Trezeguet trying to be selfish. So those are two moments. I had to go and watch the game back twice to pick those plays out. But that seemed to be a theme, that if you don't manage the moments, not just the game, but manage the moments, you will be back on a flight to Cairo, which is the team is in real time.
Yeah, because it felt like through the first 70 minutes that they were managing and really playing Lionel Messi very, very well, making him uncomfortable. Yeah. You saw it was tough for him to get on the ball. Then he starts shifting to the right side and has a bit more space. And in those 10, 15 minutes, the adjustments just were not made by Egypt to counteract with that. And let's get to it, though. I mean, because it clearly impeded and impacted emotionally their thought process, and certainly rattled them in terms of that VAR decision. And you did mention to yourself personally that you feel like Lionel Messi is the greatest player of all time, but does Egypt feel right to feel wronged in this match?
Yeah, look, I'm not Egyptian. I am definitely Pan-African, but I am a football enthusiast and I am a football purist. I hope I can say that, or maybe to the extent that I can be. VAR is an absolute farce. I want to go back to the play that they called off, where Lisandro Martinez. There's going to be people out there who are going to say, "Okay, well, you can't step on someone's toe." We're bringing goals back, Master, for someone like with the smallest of touches, stepping on someone's toe. And I wouldn't even say stepping on a toe. Martinez is already going down, and then they call the goal back. But if you're going to call that Lisandro Martinez foul, how do you not go back and call Alexis McAllister pulling on an Egyptian player? I think it may have been Mohamed Salah pulling on his shirt in the box, and Mohamed Salah goes down. And I heard some of the commentators, and I'm going to say shame on you to some of the commentators who said Mohamed Salah slipped. Are you blind? Alexis McAllister pulled his shirt. It's a penalty. If you're going to give a foul based on the criteria of what you gave a foul for to take away the Zico goal against Egypt, you damn well better do the same thing in the opposing box. And you can go through some of the moments where Leandro Paredes, I thought, had an outstanding game. He made the play of the game that led to Argentina's winner, which he makes a tackle on Omar Marmoush that changes the whole tide of the game. Throughout the match, Leandro Paredes was literally looking like he was playing rugby or American football. He would two-arm shiver Mohamed Salah and push him in and around the box. And the referee says play on. So it's the inconsistencies around VAR that constantly have this controversy stirring up. And at a certain point, if things like this keep up, Master, and what are we led to believe?
Let me ask you about
what are we led to believe?
Let me specific to the Egypt goal that was ruled out, because I've stated it on the show. I'm not going to say differently just because someone I like is here. I do think it is a foul. He does stand on his foot. He also pulls the shirt. I think it's a free kick. What I don't like, but I believe they refereed correctly, is that it's 17 seconds until he scores. You know, there are 3 passes in the build-up. He dribbles past 3 players. It's a phenomenal goal and one that you wish could have stood. I think they referee it correctly in the moment based on the rules in front of you, but do we need to be making sure that if VAR is here to stay, which I think a lot of us wish it wasn't, does there need to be some kind of cutoff? Does there need to be some kind of, that's happened way too early? Because their current cutoff is it's the previous phase of play, it's the moment that the ball changed possession, and you can't deny that is what happened in that moment. So technically they refereed it correctly, but 17 seconds does feel like a long time, and that's where, while I disagree with the grievances about what's a foul and what's not a foul, the distance from the goal, I do understand why people are frustrated by that, and maybe it needs to be looked at longer term.
Yeah, look, I think the only other opposing side to that is Egypt did not get a single call look back 17 seconds before. Egypt did not get a single call that went to the monitor. And if you go back and watch the play, that Alexis McAllister, if you are going to use that as the standard of if that's a foul, and there's different interpretations, I accept, and I bring on your interpretation of that being a foul. If that is a foul, Alexis McAllister's foul was more of a foul than that foul, and that should have been a penalty.
Just a query, because you said something about Mo Salah. I got a little bit confused in it.
Yeah.
Are you talking about the one with the shirt pull on the edge of the box rather than the Mo Salah one that was just before the goal? Because those are obviously two separate incidences. The Mo Salah one before the goal is something we've talked about a lot on the show. The shirt pull we haven't actually got to, and it's interesting because a little bit we talked about this. There's this thing about VAR didn't look at it, right? Because you didn't see a VAR replay thing on the screen. Obviously, they do look at everything, and they decided that didn't hit the threshold. And Master is right to have his view about, like, the threshold is different for Argentina, etc. As a player, when you're moving into the box in that situation and you're going at full speed, is that much of a little tug on the shirt enough to spin you around and send you to the floor? That's my question.
Is Lisandro Martinez that touch enough to throw him flailing to the ground?
He stands on his foot. Of course it is. He literally stands on his foot.
Go ahead.
I was going to say. If I
stand on your foot and we're walking at 2
let
miles
Mike talk,
an hour.
Will. We heard your opinion for 2 hours. Let Mike talk. Mike talk. I've heard this whole show. I've heard this whole show.
This is what I love about this show is we have different perspectives, and this is what I love about the power of debate. Is if that is Lionel Messi, and he is running in the box, do you think they give that as a penalty, or do you think they'd say no VAR here. And I want to hear the honest truth, because anything other than absolutely is a lie. It's an absolute lie. You know that Lionel Messi is getting that call every single day of the week. Now, you keep the number 10 shirt and you put it Mohamed Salah. You put Salah on the back, you put an Egyptian badge. And I'd even go as far as saying maybe if that was any Argentine player that's a global superstar in that team, most likely that's going to be called. Most likely that's going to be reviewed. The fact that that was not even an eye batted to in a game where now the threshold, we talk about what is the threshold for a foul. The threshold for a foul for Lisandro Martinez is very low. In the Premier League, they probably don't even give that as a foul, because we've seen players 2-foot tackle people in the Premier League. I think of Diego Dallo, who gets away with nothing in that. They reviewed it and still gave nothing. That was a violent conduct. So my problem isn't if you're going to call Lisandro Martinez and bring that back. I agree with you about the 17 seconds. I think they need to probably amend that. I hope they amend things like that. My problem is the exact same thing that all of us have been really upset about with the VAR is, if we're being honest, they make shit up as they go. And yes, your name on the back of the jersey, if it starts with an M and ends with an I and has an ESSI in it, you are going to get favorable calls. If there's the head of FIFA in the stands, who is literally on the edge of his seat when Argentina score goals and other teams don't score goals against them, not my video, it's out there, fans are really showing video of it, it's probably going to be in favor of Argentina. So take nothing away from what I'm saying in this. Egypt gave that game away. At the end of the day, Egypt found a way to lose that game. I'm not here to say that Egypt did not have their part to play in this, but we have to be realistic that there is superstar treatment, there is super team treatment at this World Cup. They allowed Cristiano Ronaldo to not serve out a ban at a World Cup because he's Cristiano Ronaldo.
You'll see, there was a separate video coming out from us from earlier in the show of we got into that because
Will can acknowledge that part.
Yeah.
Will can acknowledge that part. He can't acknowledge the Messi bias though. He can't. It's hard for him to acknowledge
acknowledging the Messi bias. You keep saying this. I've never not acknowledged the Messi bias. I've just said I thought one was a foul and one wasn't. I've only ever talked about those two incidents. Like I said, we never got into.
We talked about Austria. We talked about it with other circumstances. We have.
I think I just came on and just stir the cauldron. That's all I'm here to do.
The poor people have been here for 2 hours listening to us rattle on about these two decisions is astonishing, but they were still enjoying it in the comments. So there we go.
I mean, they're talking about the group chats. I mean, this is. Let's be honest, Mike. Like, I was very privileged to be there. I was so grateful to be there. An incredible emotion. You got two legends. One of them, unfortunately, is going to their final World Cup match.
Yeah.
Like, this was one of the greatest games of this tournament, one of the greatest games we've ever seen in this World Cup. Like, it was a tremendous match, and it deserves the praise and it deserves the scrutiny from all perspectives. And I think what you said has been spot on.
Yeah, look, I stand by this, and I don't want people to misconstrue what I'm saying, is that even if calls go your way, even if there's this perception of preferential treatment, which I still stand by, and I'm interested to see what happens in the very next match between Argentina and Switzerland. Because if we continue to see things like this, and every game there's then maybe there's a conversation there, and maybe we'll all, after we get our I'm not on gin today, so we can say that I'm seeing things a bit more clear than I normally do. But you have to give Argentina credit where credit is due. Messi showed the heart of a champion. Messi willed this team forward. And players like Cuti Romero, they're drinking what Messi's serving up. So you still have to go and find ways to win matches like this, irregardless of whether you think refereeing decisions are given. Argentina, they are reigning World Cup champions for a reason. And if you open the door slightly, they will put you to the sword, and they did against Egypt.
Just a very quick one, Mike, on the one African team who do still remain, Morocco going up against France. Is a really tasty lineup of quarterfinals, except for maybe Switzerland. Where do you rate their chances against this unbelievable French attack?
Yeah, it's going to be tough. And look, the injury to Ismail Saibati, if Saibati, and I haven't looked up whether, what the latest is on his injury. It was a thigh injury that he picked up against Canada. And I saw Mohamed Wabi said after the match that they were going to take their time in making the right diagnosis. But should Saibati not be available, that is a complete game changer. Congrats to Sofiane Rahimi for finally turning the perception of most of Morocco, which was very much against him because of poor performance in the Africa Cup of Nations. He got his goal. But one thing that I will say about Morocco is there is going to be this sense of personal vendetta, settling personal scores, because there's 6 players who are dual nationals, 6 players who were born in France, who will be frothing at the mouth to prove a point to the national side that would not give them a chance. You think of Ayoub Bouadi, who the likes of the French national team staff and their assistant came out and said they were shocked that he chose to go represent Morocco. And for him, he felt like this was his time to shine. At 18 years old, he is going to be very much in the mindset of wanting to prove a point. Issa Diop, who shunned a call-up to the Senegal national team when he was very young. He came through the Toulouse Academy. He will be frothing at the mouth because the French national team, they rejected him. So he said he was going to go back, and the next national team that came up, he's got multiple citizenships that he can play for through his mom. He said yes to Morocco. So there's so many storylines here. But for me, the one thing Morocco has to do to have a chance, I know people talk about how evolved they are. They have to actually tap in to that 2022 mentality of it's us against the world. Because against France, we see that teams that want to play football against them, they can't live with them. But teams that want to make a balance of a street fight, you can start to get underneath their skin. Morocco is a better team than Paraguay. And I think Paraguay may have opened up a can of worms for something, not to the extent of the ishhousery that Paraguay was doing, because I don't condone that. I think Matias Galarza is an absolute disgrace to some of the antics he was doing on the pitch. I don't condone that whatsoever. But I think Morocco definitely will have to be more pragmatic. And I think the counterattack's on against the likes of Jules Koundé and Luka Dean, if those are the 2 starters.
Get in the trenches with them, cause them some problems. Come on, Morocco. Yeah, wonderful stuff. Mike Lahoud, sensational from you, as always. Thank you so much, sir. Even if...
Appreciate you, Mike.
Like you say.
Even though he agreed with me.
Don't have to agree
He's
on
got flex, didn't watch the game, and I got much love.
Yeah, love you, brother. It was very funny. We've had comments in the chat coming in saying flex is a plant from some of our people. I was like, I did walk out into the control room and be like, have you been watching the show? And he's like, yeah, I want to talk about this. And I'm like, oh God, you're going to agree with me. And then everyone's going to say that I've rigged this. But you know what? Call me FIFA, baby. It's rigged. Up next, Felipe Cardenas.
Let's get the break. Let's get to
the end of the show.
From kickoff to the full-time whistle,
talkSPORT presents
the S Word. talkSPORT presents
the S Word.
Listen again and subscribe
Wherever you get your podcasts.
and on the talkSPORT USA YouTube channel.
I feel like I've run a marathon on the show today. This is the S Word, sponsored by Calci. It's been a real fun one. Thank you for joining us throughout the show today. I'm Will Gavin, live here in London. The great master Tez Fathian out in Atlanta, Georgia, where yesterday he was able to witness one of the great World Cup games of all time. But let's be fair to say, as you've heard over the last 90 plus minutes from us, a little bit of controversy in that as well. So we got into all of it. But there was another game last night as Colombia went out on penalties to that Swiss precision. Not a classic by any stretch of the imagination.
No, absolutely not.
And a disappointing result for Colombia. So it fills me with sadness to bring on one of our favourite guests and immediately go in on that point. But the wonderful Felipe Cardenas is with us. And this morning, Felipe, we are commiserating with you. Sorry, sir. The Colombia are no longer there.
You know how much I love the Colombians. I even learned the Vamos Colombia esta noche. I was all in, man. What happened? Why couldn't we score a goal?
I was heartbroken yesterday, obviously, because this particular Colombia team I had a lot of belief in. Not that, hey, we're going to win the World Cup, but I just always felt that it was a team that could compete with anybody and potentially get further than they have before, right? But in the end, the same problems that have plagued Colombian national teams in the past came back to bite them and eliminated them in their most important game in, I think, over 20 years against Switzerland. They just couldn't score, and I understand, like, aesthetically it was not a great game, but when you're completely invested in these types of games, like, it doesn't matter. Like, I was watching it with people here in LA with some of my UK colleagues, and they were like, what a bore. and my stomach hurt the entire time. Like it doesn't matter what you're watching if your team is in it. So I think you're right though. There was a lot of precision on the Swiss side. I think they knew who they were facing, a team that was good on the ball, a team that was strong in the back, and a team that had a really strong spine, and a team that couldn't score. And so Switzerland, I think, understood that really well, neutralized Luis Suarez, a center forward that really was just up there trying to battle. And unfortunately, Luis Diaz was not the player that we expected at this World Cup. I think in the chatter in Colombia, which I tend to agree with, I really do think he was just exhausted at this World Cup. It's no excuse. I think you can see it physically. He wasn't explosive. He didn't have his touch. His 1v1 ability was not there. And in the end, that quality, that type of quality in front of the net, in front of goal, is what eliminated Colombia yesterday.
It's sad to see because everything was hinging on him being able to score goals, but no one else stepped up either. I mean, Luis Suarez, we've seen what he's able to do in Portugal, but I mean, he was terrible all tournament long. But with that, how is Colombia, as talented as they are, and I'm watching Quiñones having 5 goal contributions for Mexico, how is Colombia not able to find attackers to help contribute for this team, considering how well they perform defensively?
Yeah, I mean, it's always been a problem. Like I remember before Radamel Falcao, yes, you had Faustino Asprilla that was really good, but there was this period of time where Colombia couldn't score goals. Like I grew up watching Colombia, even the great Colombia teams, and they would struggle to score goals. And so it's not an old problem, it's not a new problem. It's just something that Colombian football has dealt with, whether they have the players or not. Sometimes it comes down to style of play. And Luis Suarez, like I'm going to say something that I'm going to let the fan part of me speak here, if I may. Court, may I? Permission to speak freely.
The floor is yours.
I don't want to see Luis Diaz in a Colombia uniform ever again. Like ever again.
Wow.
Like it's just he's been that bad. And like, yes, he had a great game against Venezuela in a crucial qualifier. He scored 4 goals, and I was so happy for him. And I think he had a magnificent year in Portugal, but the stage was too big for him. He was completely erratic. The game never slowed down for him when it was supposed to. And so, he had this opportunity because John Cordova, who isn't, a headline maker either, but certainly a player that you would want. I think the groin injury was a blow to Colombia, just losing somebody that could be up there battling and allowing a player like Danny Munoz to run off of. I mean, in the end, that's the type of center forward that was the most effective for this Colombian side. But again, I give full credit to Switzerland. It's not a sexy team. I don't think they outplayed Colombia, but they played really solid football and they didn't make many mistakes. And when they did make a mistake, Colombia didn't capitalize. And so that in the end is what happened. When you get to penalties, like your tournament is likely over. Now you have a 50% chance of going out. When that game went to penalties, my heart sunk because I did not see Colombia going through at that point.
Felipe, this is terrible radio craft from me, or TV craft, or YouTube craft, or whatever it is we're doing now. I need to seek clarification on what you just said. And this happens in life. You said you never want to see Luis Diaz in a Colombian shirt again. I just want you to look down the camera and just say for everyone,
give me a soundtrack. Give me a soundtrack.
Just for everyone.
But no, I'm going to do it.
I never want to see Luis Suarez in a Colombian shirt again.
Yeah.
One more time for me.
Well, first of all, Luis Diaz, if you're listening, if you listen to the S word, I love you, buddy. It wasn't your moment. Luis Suarez, if you're listening, and I mean the Colombian Luis Suarez, pack your bags, go back to Portugal. And if you go to Colombia, meet me at the bar. We can have a chat about your future with the national team. No, I honestly, that's how I feel. I don't want to see Luis Suarez in a Colombia uniform again. I just don't think he stepped up when given the opportunities. And yesterday against Switzerland was another moment that he just did not live up to.
With context, we all knew what you meant, but I just had to make sure that nobody at home could clip that up and make out like you'd said something ridiculous or anything else. I wanted to make sure we had to, just make sure that those social media buggers don't do anything.
When I do watch him, and obviously he had a great season at Bayern Munich, but even when you saw him at Liverpool, there's like these streaks that he goes through. Is that kind of the frustration as a Colombian, is that sometimes you'll just see him on fire as you did in Uzbekistan, and then you see him in the knockout stage and just completely non-existent?
I mean, I think the conversation around Luis Diaz has been in Colombia that, does he show up for the biggest games consistently? And, he has a lot of detractors in Colombia that say he does not. I can understand that. Personally, he hasn't always been there when the light is brightest, but sometimes when the light is shining really, really bright, he shows up too. Like, I can name off the top of my hand some really incredible games that he's had. Obviously, you can go back to the final of the Copa America 2 years ago. He didn't have a great game, and I also give credit to Argentina. They always had 3 players around him. Just a few, maybe over a year later, in a qualifier in Buenos Aires against Argentina again, he figured it out. He knew how they were going to rotate. He knew Cristian Romero was going to be there to try to break his leg, and he scored a wonderful goal and had, he was the best player on the pitch. So, he's a smart player and he can figure that out. I honestly do believe, and again, I don't want to give Luis Diaz an excuse. I'm going with the eye test. Like, he looked tired the entire tournament. Like, he came out firing against Uzbekistan, to your point. And then from there, it just never looked like he could recover. And, this game yesterday against Switzerland, he wasn't the only one. I think generally the consensus is that this team, I think more like, it hasn't been discussed perhaps enough. I just don't want to present it as an excuse, but they played in all 3 countries. They did a lot of traveling. I think the games against DR Congo and Ghana, despite not being these like electric games, I think it took a lot out of Colombia. Those are not easy teams to face. I think physically, over 90 minutes, they played in the heat. One in the weather in Mexico. They played Portugal in Miami. They play Ghana in a under the sun or under the Midwest humidity of Kansas City, and then just 4 days later, because that's where the stage we're in at the World Cup, you're facing a knockout game. So I do think the players ran out of legs last night. Gustavo Puerta, the 22-year-old, who I thought was really, really good yesterday, just wasn't really on it. And so, that sometimes that happens in the worst times for teams. And, Colombia had this shot. Even John Arias telling reporters last night, we need to focus on the team that's in front of us, alluding to the fact that perhaps the country and maybe even some of the players were thinking about Argentina. And when that happens, it really is a recipe for disaster.
It's not good.
Felipe, wonderful stuff from you as always. We didn't even get the answer on who you're going to be rooting for in the World Cup now Colombia are out. That's the disappointing part for me.
We'll get them on another time. We run out of time. Unfortunately.
Wonderful stuff from you. Thank you so much, Felipe. Master, brilliant from you. We'll see you tomorrow, 8 a.m. Eastern. Available everywhere as a podcast. Love you greatly. This is the S Word, sponsored by Kalshi.
Big name reaction from both sides of the pond.
The S Word
from talkSPORT.